Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Indiana Steel franchise. Right now, we just finished season one. We're going to be jumping into the draft. Once we're completing the draft, we're going to do the re sign phase, get through all of the offseason in this episode, and get ourselves set up for next season with a bunch of prospects that hopefully have grown and will be ready to jump into our lineup. But before I do so, I realized I forgot to show the stats from our playoff run. So let's just jump into that first. One thing I didn't show is the regular season goalie stats. So let's go look at that first. So we have Jeremy Swayman here, who played an astounding 70 games, and he was 35, 23, and 10. Probably the entire reason we even made the playoffs. So he stood on his head. It was absolutely incredible. 915 save percentage, 269 goals against average. Then we had Spencer Knight, who ended up playing 4 games for us after we traded away Logan Thompson. So he had 1 win, 3 losses, a 899 save percentage, and a 352 goals against average. So probably more in line with how we should have been playing all season long. So a big thank you to Jeremy Swayman here for keeping us in it. And then for the AHL, so we had Dustin Wolf, who had a chance to take over the crease. His stats weren't looking too great, I'll be honest. But in the second half of the season, he absolutely stepped up. 30 games, he had 11 wins, 15 losses. He had a 918 save percentage and a 256 goals against average. So to the commenter who let me know that I should give Wolf the crease, thank you, because it is working, and hopefully he can keep growing, because he went from a 79 to an 81 overall just in the second half of the season alone. So incredible right there. And then our experiment here with Dennis Hildeby, seeing if taller goalies sim as well as they play in the game. And if we check here, just with us alone, he didn't do too well. 8 games, 1 win, 5 losses, an 885 save percentage, and a 355 goals against average. Um, so it might not be working out the way we expected, but we'll give him a full shot next season as the backup and see how that goes. All right, now on to our playoff stats. So let's just jump to our team here. So the Indiana Steel. So again, Nito Niederreiter was an absolute monster this year. He had 8 goals in the playoffs, 1 assist, 9 points, leading the team. Teddy Bluger put up 7 points. There's a few at 5 points here: Granlund, Johnson, Anderson, Joseph, and Quinn. And a quick look at some of the goalie stats. So again, Swayman, absolutely incredible. 11 games, 6 wins, 4 losses, 906 save percentage. That could have been a little bit better, but the goals against average under 3 at 287. And then Spencer Knight came in for 1 game. He unfortunately got the loss, but he had a 923 save percentage and a 172 goals against average. And one last thing before we move on. Just wanted to take a look at Jackson Culp here. Unfortunately, didn't do too well in his first playoff run. 1 goal, 2 assists for 3 points, -3 as well. So, unfortunately, not the playoff run that Jackson Culp would want, but hopefully it didn't stunt his growth. He's still an 82 overall, and hopefully next year he can pick it up and step up for this team. All right, with the housekeeping behind us, let's jump into this draft and see who's going to be joining the Indiana Steel. First thing I want to do is I want to go check out the draft class and see if it's worth to try to trade up. Right now, the only team that really wants to trade is Vegas. So let's go see who we can get at around the 4th spot and see if it's worth us moving up. So it looks like we have Levshunov here going number 1, Buem going number 2, Cole Iserman going number 3, and we do have that gem at number 4 with Korpikoski. So I think if he's still available at 4, I'm going to try to move up and come pick up Korpikoski. As we can see here, some excellent stats across the board. He's a little bit on the smaller side, but that's okay. We can work with that. He is the scheme fit isn't quite what I'm looking for, but he does have behind the net and balance at the cycle shoot. So it's something I could work with. He's NHL ready. All right, so let's sim ahead and see if he's still available at 4. If he is, we'll try to trade up. So like I said, Levshunov goes first. He's a high elite at 77 overall. Buem at number 2. He's a grinder at 75 overall. So Iserman at 3. So he is still available at 4. So let's try to trade up and get this pick. So a second, a third, Johnson and Valimaki. Let's see. Okay, so that's not going to work. And then my last attempt is to give them the second round pick like I suggested. Alright, so they're being stingy about this one. I don't think it's going to go through. So unfortunately, we're going to have to back out of this. And there you go. So they did the pick with Korpikoski. 82 overall, elite medium sniper. Would have been incredible to get, but we just couldn't make it work. All right, there's also Winnipeg at 11. Let's see if there's anything we can get at 11. So there is Sam Dickinson here, potentially, or Väisänen. So probably nothing here. So let's just keep simming. So Macklin Celebrini going to Montreal, but now it's our turn with pick 18. So Luke Misa is an option. And it seems like he might be our only option here. Let's take a quick look. So carry, cycle, balance, balance behind the net. So that's a good scheme fit for us. Let's look at Liam Greentree here. Couldn't uncover all of his stats, so that's not too great. And his scheme fit hasn't been fully uncovered either. Emil Hemming, he's a right wing center sniper. So in the Liga, he had 14 goals, 9 assists. So that's pretty good for a 17-year-old in that league. He's got some good shooting, good senses, balance, shoot, balance. I really like this pick. I like that one a lot more than the other two. So I think I'm going to go with Emil Hemming. Hopefully it's not a miss on Misa, but I just like Hemming too much. So let's go with that here. All right, so 68 overall, top 6 forward, not too bad. He can grow. Let's see what we missed out on. So Misa, top 6 forward, playmaker, 69 overall. So pretty much the same. So all in all, I think either one would have been good. All right, on to round 2. Oh, I was really hoping to get Henry Muse. Fortunately, we couldn't do that. Let's just take a look. Let's see if we want to trade back here. If there's nothing really interesting at our pick, let's try to get some assets back. So there's Solberg here, top 6. So how is he a power forward, but a defenseman? This makes no sense. So cycle, balance. So there's Caden Lidstrom here. They say he's a two-way forward, but I'm pretty sure when I've drafted him in another one, he was a power forward. He is at 51, roughly. We do have another pick at around there, so let's take a look. Yeah, so we have 2 picks back to back here at 18, 19. So what I'm going to do is I might trade back, maybe to around 12 with San Jose, and see what we can get. So I'll call a timeout here. Let's go to San Jose. Let's trade back a couple maybe. All right, let's try this. We'll trade back 2 spots, pick up a 4th round pick out of it. So then let's forget about it. All right, here we go. So Minnesota's interested in trading up, so let's see what we can get out of them. Post trade. Not quite. So we move back 3 spots, but then we trade our 7th for a 4th. So I think this is a good trade for us. Let's see what Minnesota gets out of this. We'll let top 9 forward, so nothing too interesting. All right, let's see what we can get here. So I think I'm going to take Caden Lidstrom here. I don't want to miss out on him. I think he's the guy that we need. And then we'll try to get probably Sergeyev after. Or Vestarinen. But yeah, let's go with Caden Lidstrom first. All right, so 64 overall, top 9 forward. Not too bad. Let's send to our next pick. So unfortunately, some of the players we were looking at are gone, but let's see what's left. So Christers, Ansons. Let's do Connolly now, and next pick I'll do Ansons. So a power forward, bottom 6. Still hope, but not looking like I did a good pick here. All right, so there's a trade incoming. So Seattle wants our 6th round pick at 183rd overall for their 192nd, and they're willing to give us Alex Wenberg. So he is on an expiring contract, so maybe it's someone we can re-sign. Let's just take a quick look to see if this is worth it. So he's 82 overall at 29. He has a top 6 exact potential. He had 8 goals, 28 assists. It's not too shabby at all. A playmaker. He would fit our first line, which is not ideal. Okay, you know what? I'm going to take a chance on it. I'm going to accept this. I don't mind moving back 9 spots. And then we can see if Wenberg was willing to accept a lot less than 4.5 million, because that is just way too much. But if he's willing to take around 2 million, it's someone we can add to the team until we're wait for our prospects to keep growing. All right, so this will do it for our draft. Hemming, Lidstrom, Connolly, Ansons, Olofsson, Saralainen, and Westgarth. All right, now with the draft behind us, let's move into the re-sign phase. And we have a scout here that we'll need to re-sign. All right, so we have 13 players that we need to look at that are about to become restricted free agents. So let's jump into it. All right, so the way I like to do this, I like to separate it by position and then kind of see what we have and what we'd like to keep. So right now, our top center, Granlund, he's still going to be with us. Teddy Bluger, I think, had an incredible season. I would love to keep him, but it doesn't look like he wants an extension. So we'll have to see how much he's expecting. But worst case, we'll be able to trade Bluger for Wenberg that we just acquired in this draft. So let's see what he wants. So 4.1 for 2 years. I think it's a little rich, but let's see. Wenberg here, he had a 4.5, and like I said, he wants a little bit less. He only wants 2.5. I'm going to try to offer him 2.1, see if he accepts, and go from there. So now we have Ridley Gregg. So he grew quite a bit. He's now 80 overall. So he looks to be in our top 4 of centers. We also have Gagne here. He does not want an extension. He's 34 years old at 79 overall. And I think it's time to say our goodbyes to Gagne. So I'll release him. Next up, we have Stenberg. He's an RFA. He can't go anywhere unless we tell him to. So let's see how much he wants, and let's try to re-sign him. So he only wants $900,000 for 2 years. I'm willing to do the $950 for 3, so let's just do that right here. This is a bargain. And then we have Saralainen here. I'm going to wait before offering him his entry-level contract. I just want to see how many contracts we're going to have on the books before I do that. All right, moving on to the left wingers. Rasmussen here. So he wants an extension. He had a pretty decent season, 34 points. Hoping he can do a little bit better than that. But let's take a look at how much he wants. So I think this is a great deal. 2.5 million for 2 years. Let's see if he'll do 2.2 225 for 2 years. Let's offer that. Then we have Jackson Culp here. We have Tyler Johnson as well. He is willing to re-sign. Let's see how much he wants. So 2.4 million as well. I'm not giving him 2 years. I'm just gonna do one at 2 million. 2.05. See if he accepts this. All right, we now have Anderson here who signed, and Roslovic. So Roslovic would be a 5th winger. Let's see how much he wants because he does not want an extension. 2.3 at 81 overall. I'll offer him 1.8. If he accepts, I think it's a good deal. If he doesn't, I think I'm just going to let him walk. We have Jackson here. He wants an extension, so here, 3 years, 800,000. Let's lock him in. Now we have Lidstrom. I definitely want to sign Lidstrom. I need him to start playing right away in the AHL, so let's do that. Potentially, maybe even keeping him down at the CHL level. We'll take a look. So 3 years for his entry level. There we go. Now on to the right wingers. So we have Niederreiter that's signed. We have Kaliev. So Kaliev didn't really fit anything we were trying to do. He does want an extension. Let's take a look how much he wants. So he only wants 1.9 million for 3 years. So I think that's a steal. Let's go down to 1.8 for 3 years. If he accepts that, we'll keep him on the team and try to flip him at some point for some assets if he still does not fit our scheme. Now, Jack Quinn, Kastelik, Perreault. So Perreault's only 22. I think it's worth offering him a deal, so let's do that. Let's go 2 years at 8.5. I'll do that. Now we have our first round pick, Emil Hemming. I'll sign him to his entry-level contract here, 3 years. Let's do it. Anson's as well. Let's see what he has. Let's offer him a contract. Same thing, 3 years. Connolly, same overall. Better potential. So you know what? Let's give him a deal too. And Westgarth, he's already 19, 52 overall. I'm going to hold out on that one. On to the defensemen. So we have Miller, Gerard, York, and Romanov already signed. Now we need to make a decision with these next 4. So Joseph, Valimaki, Barron, and Harley. It looks like all 4 of them want to stay. So let's take a look at what they're asking for. 4.8 for 6 years. Seems a lot. Let's see what the other ones want. Here we go. 2.6 for 2 years. That's a better deal. 1.625 for 2 years. 1.9 for 3. So as you can see, Valimaki, Barron, and Harley are a much better value. Joseph is asking for so much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to qualify him. So that way, if he does sign with someone else, we'll get some picks in return. And if he just accepts the qualifying offer, we're going to get him at a bargain as well. Now let's offer Valimaki. I'll offer him 2.15 for 1 year. Yeah, for 1 year. Let's try that. Barron, I like a lot. We traded to go get him. We want to keep him around. So let's see. Here you go. Let's try to do 6 years at 2 million. Let's lock him in for quite a bit of time here. He's going to be 28 years old by the time this contract's done. We'll have a good idea of whether or not he's going to be exactly what we want him to be, giving him all the time and the opportunity to grow. So let's go with that. Harley here, 3 years, 1.9. Let's try 1.7. Now we have Samarukov. He's 25 years old already, but he's a good AHL defenseman. So let's give him a year at 1 million. And then we have Novikov, 72 overall, 20 years of age. It's definitely someone I want to have on the roster. So let's offer him a contract. So 3 years at 8.25. And now on to our goalies. So Swayman, I want to keep Swayman, but he does not want an extension. So it looks like we're going to have to pay him a pretty penny to keep him around. Let's see what happens. So like I said, he wants a lot of money. 8.1 million at 4 years. He doesn't want an extension, so I can't really bring this price down because he's automatically going to say no. And I don't want to part ways with him for absolutely nothing. So for 1 year, he only wants 6.5. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do 1 year at 6.5. And then if we can't extend him during the season, I'm going to have to trade him away for assets. Actually, let's do a 6.75, try to keep him. Then we have Spencer Knight, Dustin Wolf, who he wants an extension, so let's give it to him. So 2 years, 1.9. Let's do that for now. Let's do that bridge deal till he's 25. Olofsson seems like a really good signing that we have here. Much better than Hildeby, it seems. So it looks like we might be signing Olofsson and maybe trading away Hildeby. But I'll keep him for now to see what happens with Swayman. So entry-level contract. And then Radulov, you can just keep sitting there because I don't want to sign a 52 overall goalie. All right, so let's advance a day, see who accepts, who declines, and then we'll go from there. All right, so our scout accepts the contract. On to the players. So Swayman comes back. Johnson, he's going to need a little bit more money. So we'll see. Roslovic decided to reject. And he's going to test free agency, so I'm just going to release him. All right, Harley needs a bit more money. Rasmussen needs a bit more. Oh no, actually Rasmussen accepted. Kaliev accepted. Barron accepted. Stenberg accepted. Wenberg is going to need more. Valimaki is going to need more. All right, so we have a lot of players accepting here. We'll just have to go back and renegotiate the contracts we couldn't come to terms with. All right, back to the centers. So Bluger didn't want an extension. Wenberg did. Let's try to offer Bluger something if it's not too much. No, again, it's true. He wanted way too much money for us. Let's do 2.4 for 2 years with Wenberg. See if he accepts that. Roslovic, I'll release you. You didn't want anything to do with us. Now for Johnson, let's do 2.3 for 2 years. Right wing is taken care of. Defenseman. So Valimaki rejected and Harley rejected. So let's go back to Valimaki. So I think 2.1 was a little low. Let's do 2.3 and see if he takes this. And then Harley was a little low as well. 1.825. Let's try that. And now for the goalies, that was all taken care of. So again, advanced day. So Johnson renewed. Harley renewed. Wenberg did not. Valimaki Now we need to make a decision here on Wenberg and Bluger. So we do have a lot of cap space. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to release Bluger and Wenberg and check in free agency what we can do in terms of centers. Because we do have a lot of cap space. We can bring in veterans, players who can play with the young players we have, and hopefully help develop. So let's release Bluger and Wenberg. Unfortunately, we couldn't get assets in return for them. But it is what it is. That's how the game works sometimes. And in the meantime, we do have a lot of centers at the AHL level. So I'm not going to sign Saralainen. I don't think it's worth it. So let's advance day again. All right, now in free agency, the first thing I want to do is I want to look at our coaching staff, see if there's any coaches available that I think would be a better fit for this team. So let's do this first. All right, so there's a few head coaches here. And Colton Cameron here. He has a perfect fit for Miller. Basically a perfect fit for Culp and Greg as well. So this can be interesting. All right, so this A overall coach works excellent for Miller, excellent for Granlund, excellent for Culp. Gerard, Niederreiter, York, Romanov, and Quinn, maybe not so much. But Ridley Gregg would grow in this. Let's check the team strategies. So he has a balance, energy, balance, carry cycle, balance, energy, balance, shoot, balance, shoot. So I love this coach, his scheme and his fit. I think I'm going to offer him a contract and replace the head coach. So I'm going to offer him 4 years at $5 million a year. Here, let's go 6.5 million for 4 years. And then in the meantime, I need to do something I don't want to do in case it doesn't work out. But we have to, because if not, they won't let us hire him. I need to fire our current coach, Easton Stafford. Or maybe what I'll do. So everyone has low coach chemistry with Hayward. So I'll fire him, drop everybody down, and we'll go from there. All right, so Stafford's our interim NHL head coach. We have the NHL associate, NHL assistant. And in the meantime, we're going to wait. And then when we're done with the hiring, we'll go get another goalie coach. So let's do that for now. Okay, now time to check free agency. Let's see what's available to us and see if we can replace some of the players that we had to let go. No, I'm willing to offer him something, so let's go take a look. If you can do 1 year, I'll give you 1.75. So that's 1, and now we need a second center. Okay, I'm going to advance a few days, see if anybody drops their price. All right, so our coaching situation has been figured out for this year. Unfortunately, we couldn't upgrade our NHL head coach. The coach we were looking at went with St. Louis, so a division rival, which is unfortunate. But we'll keep an eye out. We'll see if we can get someone that works for us. But in the meantime, we do have an upgrade for our AHL coach, which we'll keep an eye out for this year. Now let's take a look and see if anybody dropped their prices on what they're asking for. So let's go to the centers. So Novak dropped a bit. So he's at 3.9 now, but he still wants 5 years, which is honestly quite a bit. Let's see if we can offer him for only a year or two. So for 2 years, he wants a little bit more. I'm actually willing to give him that. We have some cap to cover. So let's do that here. So that would be our second center. And now for the right wingers. Duclair's price dropped quite a bit. He was at 6 million, I think, a little above 6. I always like Duclair on my teams. Let's see if we can bring him on. Let's give it a try. So I don't want you for 4, that's for sure. So maybe 2 years to you as well. I'll give him what he wants, 4.7. Let's give that a go. So let's fast forward a couple days and see if they accept. So the goalie coach accepted. Both goalie coaches accepted. So Novak took our deal. And Duclair also took our deal. So it looks like our work for the offseason is now complete. Let's advance to the start of next season and see what our team's going to be looking like. So as I was simming forward, we received a trade offer from the Montreal Canadiens for 2 fourth-round picks, one this year, one next year for Jake Evans. We're going to have to re-sign him, which is a little bit worrisome. But let's take a look if it's even worth our time. So he's 81 overall, but he's already 28 years of age. We just signed our 2 centers in the offseason. Unfortunately, I don't think this makes any sense for us, so I'm going to have to decline. All right, so these are the lines we're going to be rocking with to start the season. So on the first line, we have Rasmussen, Novak, and Duclair. Second line, we have Culp, Granlund, and Anderson. Third line, we have Quinn, Henrique, and Niederreiter. And our fourth line will be Johnson, Gregg, and Kaliev. On defense, we have Miller and Barron on the first pair, Girard and Romanov on the second pair, York and Valimaki to round it off. In the crease, we're going with Jeremy Swayman, who grew to an 89 overall. Spencer Knight, who also grew. He's now an 85 overall. For the AHL, we have Stenberg, Lucius, and Kastelik on the first line. Seidenberg, Kapanen, and Haminaho on the second. Ibrahimov, Crab, and Hemming, our newly acquired first-round pick. On the third line, Jackson, Blais, and Perrault on the fourth line. On defense, we're going with Samorukov, Novikov on the first pair. Sjoberg and Baudouin on the second pair. And then to round it off, we have Kral and Helmer Steiff. And in the crease, our goalie of the future, apparently Dustin Wolf, is now 83 overall. And Dennis Hildeby to round it off at a 73 overall. We do have Olofsson as well. So I'm just going to let the season play out a month or two, and then we'll keep deciding who we want to go with between Olofsson and Hildeby. But for now, Hildeby will be getting the backup role in the AHL. And now for captains and assistants, I think it's time to finally name the first captain in franchise history. And that honor is going to go to none other than K'Andre Miller. He's a pillar on defense. He's going to be with us for quite a little while here. So I'm going to assign him the captain. For our assistants here, I want to give it to someone who's going to help grow the young kids, show some leadership. So I'm going to assign it to Granlund here. And then we also need to get a secondary assistant, and that's someone who I want to be the leader of this team. I want him to learn from both Granlund and Miller, and I want him to be our stud of the future. And let's get him started with assigning him the captaincy. Jackson Culp will be the secondary assistant. Now, when it comes to the AHL, I want some players that have been around for a while to show the young prospects how things are done. So the captain for our AHL team will be Kastelik. He has some NHL experience. He's been around for a little while, and he can show and he can show the young players how it's done. Then for assistant, I'm going to give it to Baudouin. He's a pillar on defense. He's been around a while, so that's the player I want to give it to. And then for our remaining assistant, this one's kind of a little bit of a toss-up, but I think I'm going to go with Stenberg. Kind of similar to Jackson Culp. I want him to learn from the veterans, and hopefully he can bring that into the NHL when he gets called up. So Stenberg is going to be the assistant as well. So here we are, another off season in the books, another season ahead of us. So what I'll do is I'll end the episode right here. I'll get us organized. I'm going to sim through the preseason. I'll show you the stats at the start of the next episode, and then we can get started in season number 2 of the Indiana Steel franchise. So I want to thank everybody who's been watching this series so far. As you can see, I started posting some MLB content as well, so you can go take a look at that. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel to get some more Indiana Steel franchise. And there will be a road to the show for MLB coming up very shortly, so keep an eye out on that. Once again, thanks everyone. Have a good one.